you didn't see the behind the scenes, but
I don't even have words. Like,
there's some passion here right now.
Now, at the point that this airs, this album will have already been out for some time.
Yes.
But we are 3 days in now with Beyonce having dropped Renaissance Act 1.
Yes.
And I don't know what to do with myself. Like, whoever releases music, drops music, whatever for the rest of the year, it's irrelevant. Like,
sorry,
it's irrelevant. I'm sorry to all of y'all. Like, and it's okay. So it's her. That's one thing off rip.
It's her.
But she ate down on this album. Production, vocals, the sequencing, and the freaking transitions.
The transitions for me. I'm a homecoming girly. Like, I like to just press play and let it run all the way through. And this is giving that, but even more, because it's like, dang, I didn't even know the song. Switched over to the next song. It's beautiful, and it's nothing that I didn't really like. I expected it to be great.
We know,
you know what I mean? Like,
great.
we know what the quality you're gonna get from her, but it's just crazy to like be in this time. Like, what a time, man!
It's like I saw Questlove, who is part of the Roots, and who's just like a music aficionado. Like, he was like, she released her off the wall. Like, this is MJ. When I tell you, when I pressed play, I did not stop dancing. Like, you will be up, you will be sweating. Change into a t-shirt. Like, put some comfortable shoes on.
Oh, man. It's crazy that you mentioned that, like, reference, because I literally was just saying, or just thinking to myself, I'm like, man, like, this must be how, like, our parents felt, with Michael Jackson. You know what I mean? Like, we are really, like, living this time. Like, I feel lucky.
Okay.
I'm here and witnessing this in real time.
And, like, it's wild because the album feels communal. Like, it feels like something you should be listening to, turn up with, like, your people. It feels like something you can throw on at a cookout. It feels like somebody who's 55 years old can listen and enjoy. Someone who's 5 years old, some parts, can listen and enjoy. And when you look at the credits, like, we have goats and heavy hitters, like,
all the way through.
The Dream, Raphael Sadiq,
stop playing with him,
Pharrell. Like, but then you have a whole school of new school people who are like, you have Lucky Days has credits on there. Thames, who's just had a fire year,
phenomenal,
is on there. Like, Sid and Patrick Page, the second from the internet, are on there.
Come on,
like,
music.
I'm like, these people, like, she pulled together the best of the best to make this thing happen, and it sounds like it.
She did what she did.
It sounds like it. And it shows.
Yeah, it's a lot of passion we talk about. So, we started off, I was just like, this has to be the begin. We have to get it out before we even come to you guys with whatever we're talking about.
Had to let y'all know. Had to let you know how we were feeling. But
shout out to B. I hope you watch this one day. Like, just because she'd be lurking.
Okay.
On her burner. Okay. I'm ready. I'm ready for the call out.
Oh man.
Ooh.
But we had to get that out. Like I said, we're 3 days into this thing now. Yeah. And
still very fresh.
Ain't going nowhere no time soon.
No, not at all.
Nope. So welcome back, y'all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing, liking, sharing, all of those things.
Yes.
So excited for the engagement so far. But yeah, thank you. Welcome back to the channel. For those of you who do not know, and it may be your first time watching, I'm Jackie.
And I'm Shawnee.
And you are listening to and watching
The Mocha Message. I love the fact that we're still getting used to this video thing, y'all. Like, it's so funny to me.
It's going to take some time. Each episode, you'll see it like improve and go up.
But. And we'll eventually stop just saying you're listening to. It'll come. It'll come with time. So what we got on the table today, Jack?
Oh, man. So y'all know, anyone who's been listening to and watching the show so far, the obsession with HBO's Insecure is real.
It is.
And
we can't help it.
Yeah. It's not just because it's like a show full of like, Black women. It's, greenlit by Issa Rae. All of that stuff is great. But the actual subject matter of the show just speaks to, I think, like folks in like our age bracket.
Yeah. Yeah.
It speaks to like young people growing up into adulthood and trying to figure out how to navigate all of that. So with that, like today's episode is going to be about insecurities.
Yay.
Like, we're going there. It's
That's
time.
nice. That's nice. And we all have them. It's not something to be ashamed about. And it's things that I think maybe start, from a young age and you hold on to them for a while. Sometimes they develop as you get older, as I found.
Yeah, I'm like, I thought I was supposed to be past this.
Yeah. So it's one of those episodes. But, as always at the Mocha Message, we are very transparent with you guys. We're very forthcoming. And there's nothing to be ashamed of with any of the subject matter that we discuss. So I'm ready to get into it. Let's get about it. So I really want all of us to really just think of some of your most prominent or like long-standing insecurities.
Oh man.
You don't have to say, comment or say it or anything if you don't want to, but like, where do you think they stem from? Because you can have insecurities kind of come from maybe your family or like upbringing. School age is where a lot of insecurities kind of come from. Maybe even media, like you didn't necessarily see representation or anything like that on television or movies. Like what do you think is like your kind of villain? What do you think is your villain origin story for like your insecurities? Like,
oh man, mine stem from, a lot of different things.
Yeah.
To be transparent, like in my family, my mom is like one of 9 kids. And it almost seems pretty much split down the middle between like who's light skin, who's brown skin. Yeah. Same mother and father, which genetics, right?
Right. That's how we do it.
Black people. Right. But some of like insecurities have come from that. Like it seems like more desirable and all that, those kinds of things. Society for sure. Media for sure. Like media growing up did not look like the way that it looks now.
Right.
Like, all these different forms of representation. I think the earliest memory I have of looking on screen and being like, oh, that person's like me was Brandy and Mocha.
Yeah. Right.
But before then, I didn't see too many like brown skin girls with braids and stuff like that. So I think it stems from a lot of different things, even things that you don't necessarily see. Like you may be paging through a magazine. Like I used to like those magazines when I was a kid.
I didn't think about that. That was like our first, like, we didn't grow up with phones. Like,
right.
We got those later in life.
For a little while.
We were the magazine for show. Like at the hair salon, like you picking up an Ebony or a Jet, like Teen Vogue, 17. Yeah, that's facts. That's facts.
So like paging through that and not necessarily seeing anybody who looked like me.
Yeah.
Just hearing different comments, like I'm just gonna throw it out there. A couple of my insecurities, which is what created so much resistance for being on camera in the first place.
Right.
I shared in one of our earlier episodes when we were just audio, like about how I have alopecia, like, and God knows that word this year is like a cuss word now.
Oh, do not say that.
It's like a cuss word now after everything that happened.
Oh my goodness.
At the awards, but I have alopecia and like depending on like how I'm angled in like certain pictures or like on video and stuff, like I'm self-conscious about that. Even like, everyone's like, oh, your gap in your teeth are so cute, but it's not my favorite thing about myself. Right. Like it's really not, because you hear things people put value in certain things like hairstyle or, the edges. Yes. That's a big conversation. Like pretty teeth. Like, when people get put on, what's the first thing they do? They fix their teeth.
Right.
So different things like that. But those are just a few of mine. And it's been sprinkled from like family to school, teasing to media and not seeing people who look like me, all of that. Like,
that's facts. That's facts. Yeah, so for me, I can definitely say for sure school was like a big portion of kind of where my insecurity started. And I really think it was because like I'm the oldest and I have a pretty decent gap between my younger siblings. And so like I grew up kind of in the formidable years without any other kids around. So it really was just me and my own thoughts, you know, like, and it wasn't until I got to elementary and middle school that I really started to like hear other perspectives and start to, you know, just question like, why is my, you know, body type kind of like this, or my hair, you know, looks a certain way. So yeah, it was definitely for me, I think school played a big part. But I do agree, like you said, I wasn't necessarily seeing really any sort of representation for just Black girls, I think in general for a while, especially like, I mean, we had, you know, girlfriends and all the stuff that technically are, like our moms and stuff were watching, but like, no, none of the kid shows really for a while really had any, like, they weren't centered around the Black woman experience. So
no.
Definitely cause for like insecurities to start to pop up. But,
yeah.
So I was also kind of thinking about like, how do your insecurities kind of like play out as you grow up, you know what I mean? High school, it may be one way, college may be a different way, post-grad, you know, that's a whole nother beast.
Yeah.
I'll definitely say for me, like in high school, insecurities were really starting to, I guess, form because, you know, not only are people just going through puberty and developing at different rates and all that good stuff. But that was also, and you know how we always say it on Mocha Message Podcast, that was also when social media and like phones and all that stuff started to really pop up. So not only were, you know, you kind of getting those same, you know, just thoughts, and stuff from other people. But now, you know, you can look on MySpace and see this person who supposedly has this perfect body and this a whole bunch of friends and, you know, is so popular and all that stuff. Like all that was really starting to develop in like late middle school, high school. So it was rough. Like it was rough. And I think also as I went into college, and it was really why I was just super grateful to my HBCU because I was able to kind of like nurture specifically some of my Black girl insecurities, you know, in a way that I feel like I was never getting throughout all of my other years of school, just being like the minority. But it was, I think college for me was like a big ball of like self-work. And really working on kind of like where are these stemming from? Like, how can I kind of get over these or, you know, make them go away or at least manage some of these insecurities? And, you know, it was a time for experiments, I think, for me. So
it's wild. Yeah. When the reason why I expressed myself in the way that I did when you asked that about like how insecurities have changed through the years is because at my big age, right? Like you would think you've had these things mastered that you feel more comfortable and confident. And there are days where I do, you know, there are days, times, years, months, whatever, where I do. But then there's other times where it creeps back up. Like it comes back up. And similarly to you throughout college is where I started to definitely become hella Black. I went to a PWI, but like, we had a strong community of Black people on campus, and everything like that. And, you know, throughout my formative years when I was younger, like being surrounded by predominantly white spaces. But not necessarily having that community like that outside of the people in your home. Like that played a role, for sure. But so, yeah, like in school, like, I found like community to help embrace like that, the Blackness, you know what I mean? But when it comes down to like my personal insecurities, like the things that I struggle with when I look in the mirror, like some of that stuff still there, I'm trying to work through it.
Yeah.
Which is wild. So,
and it's interesting because I always feel like post grad, like even more insecurities popped up for me. Like maybe not even necessarily. I feel like a lot of the ones from younger were kind of, surface level image, maybe a little bit of personality as well. But like now there's a whole nother, like, am I, moving too slow in this specific area of life?
Right track.
How is my career going? Like, am I behind on this? Am I doing too much on this? Like,
right.
There's even more that's kind of popping up. So along with kind of like you were saying, the insecurities from childhood that sometimes never really go away. You also have new ones that kind of pop up like the older you get as far as like achievements or whatever. And it's just like, dang, bro, I can't catch a break, man. Yeah. So you never really can, at least I think you never can like get rid of every single insecurity you ever have, right? But do you feel like you're kind of in a better place now, maybe than how you were before? And if so, like, what are some of the factors that helped you along?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm always going to credit my therapist. Like, girl, if you watch this or if you ever watch this, you get your flowers constantly.
Yes.
But I think they are getting better. I'll say that. Yeah. I say it's like it's a daily walk. Yeah. Kind of, for lack of better terms. Which is getting better, like through my therapist helps me like challenge my limiting beliefs. And she's like, when a thought pops up, who told you that? Like, is that true? Yeah. Is that fact?
Right.
It may be how you feel, but is that law? No? All right.
Wow.
Well, then we need to replace that with something better. Yeah. Like,
I love that.
Yeah. That's usually that's what I'm working on right now in this journey, is like when something pops up that has me feeling a type of way or has me feeling insecure or behind or down on myself, like just challenging right up the bat. Is that true? Who told you that? If so, why does it matter? Yeah. And if it's not, then what can we replace it with that's honest and actually true? So
that's facts. I mean, the self-work that kind of goes into it really should not be, minimized, because it's a lot of reflection. It's a lot of, I know for me, like some of it is actually acceptance. Like I have lots of insecurities about like my body type and shape and all that stuff. And, there's things you can do. You can go to the gym or you can get surgery or you can, go on these crazy diets. But I've, in a sense, sort of accepted like, hey, at the end of the day, girl, like this core being is kind of what you got to work with. Right. Yeah. So like you can either choose to completely like change your like fight against your genetics consistently, which could lead me to be a little bit unhappy. I would not be happy not eating sweets or like not eating bread.
I mean, you're a whole chef.
Yeah. So. Or I could kind of take a little bit of acceptance and know that like, okay, well, the work that I do in the gym is great. Give myself flowers for that and keep it pushing if I want a cookie. Like I'm not really tripping about that. You know what I mean? Like, all that stuff kind of comes, I think, with time, maybe, because I don't think I would have been ready for that, like, at the age of 18, like I kind of am now. But I also really, really, like, want to give my flowers to kind of, like, my tribe, like, surrounding myself with people who are, inspirational and kind of, can give me these positive thoughts when I need. They help. I know for example, like I have a lot of people, you included, who like help me on a book tip, right? And reading, which is something that I've always really enjoyed, has helped kind of shape some of the ways that, I look into myself. I'm reading a very positive book or kind of getting some inspirations and stuff from that. So, it's work. I'll say that. Like, you can't just come into it and turn 25 and then everything is just magical.
That is so important. Like, that is such an underrated point, because I think sometimes we have this idea of just being so frustrated and wanting to be over it. And like, this should have been like,
should have been. Should have. Where do you get that should from? I'm going into, you know what I'm going into.
But honestly, man, like, that's real. Like, you can't skate past like the work that you have to do to overcome it, and not even necessarily overcome it. Sometimes just dealing with it.
Dealing with it is a great way to put it.
Yeah. So, the thing that I love about Insecure the most, like, everybody thinks it's Issa. And it is Issa.
It is,
but every single character had their own insecurities, like, in different areas too. Like, I'm going to be honest and say I'm actually probably more Lawrence than Issa. Because he was struggling with like the whole like career track and the job thing. And I remember, like, in the earlier episodes, he's hell bent on like creating his own thing.
Right.
And then by the end of the series, he's like, maybe I don't have to be the idea guy.
Right.
Like, maybe I'm comfortable with like helping other people achieve missions. I like being on teams. And I was like, hello, Lawrence? Are you me?
Are you speaking to me right now?
Are you me? Like, because I mean, for the longest time, I always felt like I had to be like an entrepreneur and start my own thing. And but I realized I'm much more comfortable where I don't got to be filling out 1099s and all this other stuff, trying to figure out how to pay people, like, for where I am right now.
That's
anyway,
a real thing. That's a real thing.
So I was like, I can identify with like that job insecurity. There have been gaps where I have not been employed. Right. There's probably like a 2 stretch period around 2016. And then just more recently, like when I left my old job and right before I hopped into this new one, like there was a gap. So how do you deal with that? How do you fill your time? Like, I remember the first time I was just so depressed and I don't have a title and I worked so hard to get to these places. This time around, I made it my own. I'm like, what's out here that I can do?
Come on, man.
What hobbies, what interests? Like, what can I get into while I have this time? So that's
No, I mean, that's a great point. And I think that, like you said in the beginning, that's kind of why it really resonates with a lot of people our age so much, because it really does speak to real life. And it's not just like the stereotypical like insecurities that a Black man or a Black woman may have. Like, it's some real stuff that they deal with in the show. And everybody will have kind of their own either person they kind of, see themselves in, or even multiple people they may see themselves in from the show. But like, to look at how kind of everybody started in season 1 versus like the end of the season or the series, it's really inspiring, because you do see the work that people put in. People were going to therapy. People were, actually,
their friends,
like that. Taking time to, get to the root of issues. And, it also kind of shows you, in my opinion, that like sometimes you gotta get knocked on the head, right? Like, life is gonna knock you on the head sometimes.
Going through some stuff, which also made the show real. Like,
and all of that really helps get you to a point to where you can become secure in yourself. And that's not to say that, your insecurities are gone, but you're just more secure of who you are as a person, your strengths, your areas of opportunity.
Come on, positive reframing. Come on.
And so if you can live life like that, like, you're just in a way better position versus, like beating yourself up over things that are either out of your control or things that other people go through. Like, this isn't something that you should feel ashamed of or feel like you're behind or feel like you're not good enough.
Right.
Like, it's I don't know, man. I'll be shout out to Issa, bro. Like, you had something in your bag. Like, you stepped in your bag with this, because it really just resonates in so many different ways. And like the actual show title, Insecure, really it hit the nail on the head.
It did.
I'll just say it like that. So honestly, for the Mocha message, man, I just want all of you guys to take a look at your younger selves, right? And look at the things that your younger self may have been insecure about, may have been, had written down for goals or anything like that. And look at how far you've came, right?
Come on. I don't think we do that enough.
Be proud of that. Be proud of that work that you've put in. Be proud of the acceptance that you've had, the strategies you come up with to accomplish different things. And just know that, like, when you talk down on yourself, you're talking down on that little kid.
Right.
Like, literally, if you got to pull up a Polaroid that is at your mama's house, and like, look, for real, like, look at that little girl or little boy, and just realize that when you're beating up on yourself now, you're beating up on that little baby. And
you would never never do that,
right? And just know that there is never such a thing as a perfect person, but the work that you put in thus far is like so great, and you need to be given your flowers for that.
Yes, definitely count that. I think it goes along with, how people always say, like, be the you that you needed when you were younger.
Yeah, exactly.
It goes hand in hand.
Exactly,
it really does. But I mean, it's something we'll continually work on. I'm
Definitely.
Sure you'll see our progress as the episodes and years and stuff go on. But we'd also like to know what progress you're working on.
Right.
What insecurities are you working on? What do you do to combat that? What do you do to keep yourself encouraged to silence those voices and things like that? But as always, stay engaged. Like, let us know. Hit us in the comments. Hit us up through DM stories. Like, let us know, how this episode resonates with you.
Definitely.
And, what you're doing to work on it to move forward.
For sure. And we thank you for your support as always. And we can't wait to talk to you guys for another episode. So we'll see you then.
All right, y'all.
Peace.